Greetings, wizards. Welcome to the Papercraft Wizard channel. My name is Kelly, and I'm so glad you're here. In this video, we're going to be making a page with 3 pockets, gatefold closure, and tuck spots. We're going to start with our pocket page that is 8 inches by 8 inches that we created in episode 1 of this series. I also have 2 pieces of cardstock here measuring 8 inches by 4 3/4 inches. And these are both scored on the 4 3/4 inch side at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. I have one for the left side and one for the right side. First, we're going to go ahead and miter these corners. We're going to start at this first 1/2 inch score line, and we're just going to give it a little miter. And we'll do that for the second piece as well. Now that we have our miters in place, we're going to go ahead and bend at those 2 score lines. And I'll use my bone folder to crease those down. And I'll do that to both pieces. Now we have both of our gatefold flaps ready to be adhered to our base page. I want to make sure our pocket page is open on the sides. I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive and adhere this down. I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive and then adhere this flap down to the left side. I want to line this up right along the edge. I'd like to get it as close to the edge as possible so that there's plenty of room for our pockets and other things that we're going to be adding in. I want to make sure it's right up against the edge so that there's plenty of room for our pockets. Once we have that where we want it, I'll take my bone folder and make sure it's nice and secure. Now I'll add my adhesive to the second flap, and then we'll put that in place. When we're adding this adhesive, we're only going to that first score line. I'm just going to line this right side up, right against the edge, just as we did with our left side. And once we have that in place where we'd like it, I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder to make sure it's nice and secure. And now both of our gatefold pieces are in place. Our closure for this is going to be magnetic. I've chosen this image from the collection. This image is approximately 4 1/8 inch by 3 1/2 inch. I have made my base piece just about 1/8 of an inch longer and wider. And I have a small little piece here that's about half the size that will go on the back part that will be open and will cover our magnet. I'll be using 4 magnets for this. I'm going to use some double-sided tape to adhere down our magnets. I'm just trying to line this up on my craft mat to make it easier to see where the magnets will go. I'm just setting this here so that I can line up everything. I want the magnets to sit about an inch in. So I'm going to put the first one here, the second one right about here. I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that that tape is on there nice and secure. I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure the tape is nice and secure, and then I'll release that tape. I'll place the first magnet and the second magnet. I have 2 more magnets here for the next piece. To cover the front of our gatefold flaps, I'm going to be using 2 pieces of decorative paper that measure 7 7/8 by 3 7/8. So now that I have those magnets in place, I'm going to go ahead and cover this side with our decorative paper. I'll add my liquid adhesive and then we'll adhere that in place. And I'm going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive right around those magnets just to try to help them stay in place. Our decorative paper should have approximately a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. And now I'll use my bone folder to make sure that's on there nice and secure. And now I'll add our piece of decorative paper to our right. And just as it was with the other side, we should have a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Now that we have the decorative paper on there, we can go ahead and move to our magnetic closure. Our magnets are going to be on the back piece, so for the top, we can just go ahead and adhere our image right on to our base cardstock. You can select any image you like for this piece. Just make sure that your base cardstock is 1/8 of an inch longer and wider than your decorative piece. I've gone ahead and inked up the edges as I have with every other piece of decorative paper in this project. I'll add my liquid adhesive and then we'll adhere that in place. Once I have that centered, I'll go ahead and use my bone folder to make sure it's nice and secure. I'm lining the page up on my craft mat to help me center this decorative piece, to help me center the magnetic closure piece. And I want to make sure my pages are lined up well while I'm doing this. Once I think I am pretty sure that I have that where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and add liquid adhesive to half. So I'm just going to take this little decorative piece I have here, and this is exactly half of the size of our original decorative piece. This measures 4 1/8 by 1 7/8. So I'm just going to use that to help me determine where to stick my liquid adhesive. So this is where our little decorative piece is going to sit and cover our magnets. So I'm going to take my liquid adhesive and go right next to it here and cover the other half of this piece of base card. So again, I just want to make sure those gatefold pages are together and that we have this right where we'd like it. Once I have it right about where I want it, I'll go ahead and lay that down and then use my bone folder to make sure it's nice and secure. And now just lining this up with the mat, it looks like it is pretty even. So we'll let our second two magnets magnetize right onto the ones underneath the paper. Go ahead and use some double-sided tape. I'm just going to use my bone folder to try to get that to stay on there. Now we're just going to make sure that these pages line up straight. And then I'll just push right down on top of those magnets to transfer them to our little closure here. I'm going to go ahead and add the adhesive to our little decorative piece, and then we'll adhere that in place. And again, I'm going to make sure I put some liquid adhesive right around those magnets as well to help them stay in place. It's okay if our decorative piece overlaps here a bit. No problem. Our other inside decorative piece will cover that right up. Now I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure all of that is nice and secure. And now we can test out our magnet. Perfect. Now we'll add the decorative paper to our inside flaps. I have two pieces of decorative paper here, measuring 7 7/8 by 3 7/8. I've already gone ahead and inked up the edges. For the first one, I'm just going to go ahead and dry fit that. It looks good. So I'll add my liquid adhesive and adhere it into place. We should have a 1/16 of an inch border. I'll go ahead and use my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. And now we'll go ahead and adhere the second decorative piece. And now we'll go ahead and adhere the second piece of decorative paper to our right inside flap. And once we have that in place, we'll go ahead and use our bone folder to make sure it's nice and secure. So in this space, we're going to have a tuck spot that will allow 2 photo mats. I'll be using this cut apart for our tuck spot. This piece measures 1 3/8 by 3 5/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive right down the center of this decorative piece. I'm going to give it a little bit of bulk here. And then we're simply just going to adhere this down right in the center. And once I have, oops, it's wiggling around on me. Once I have that right about where I'd like it, I'll go ahead and use my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. And while we let that dry a bit, we'll go ahead and adhere our tuck spot to our second. Just as we did with the other, I'm going to try to find about the center, and then I'm going to give it just a chunky line of adhesive. I'm going to line that up. And once I have it where I want it, I'll go ahead and use my bone folder to make sure that's nice and secure. And pull out the 4 little photo mats that we'll be using in those tuck spots. These photo mats measure 3.5 by 3.5 inches. I'm going to go ahead and use some Distress Oxide and my little camera stamp, and I'm going to stamp all of these photo mats. And now we can go ahead and add our little photo mats to our tuck spots. And now we'll move on to the center. We're going to be adding 3 pockets to the center. The smallest pocket measures 2.5 inches by 8 15/16. It's scored at 1/2 inch on both of the small sides and the bottom. Our second pocket, our medium pocket, measures 4.5 inches by 8 15/16. It is also scored at 1/2 inch on both of the sides and the bottom. And our large pocket measures 6.5 inches by 8 15/16, and it is also scored at 1/2 inch on both of the sides and the bottom. We'll start with our large pocket. I'm going to go ahead and miter the corners at the top up to our 1/2 inch score line. And now for the bottom corners, I'm going to go ahead and just trim those off right up to that corner score line. And I'll do the same for the other 2 pockets as well. We'll be adding our large pocket to our base first. I'm going to go ahead and fold at all the score lines. Now that we have all of our score lines folded, we're going to go ahead and adhere the bottom flap of the pocket to the very bottom of our page. I'm just dry fitting this to make sure we're staying within the page. And it looks like we're good. We'll go ahead and add some liquid adhesive to our bottom tab, and then we'll adhere that in place. I want to make sure that when I'm adhering this, I get it right up against the edge of the bottom. Once I have that in place, I'll use my bone folder to make sure it's nice and secure. Now I'm going to use a piece of 7 7/8 by 7 7/8 decorative paper. I've inked up the edges. I'm going to go ahead and just slide this into this larger pocket. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this will line up properly. I want that to sit right about there. I'm going to go ahead and pull that down. And I'll add liquid adhesive to the inside of our tabs. I'll do this on both sides. I'll use my bone folder to make sure those are nice and secure. And then I'll add liquid adhesive to the back of our little tabs, as well as the back of the decorative piece. And then we'll flip that up and adhere it into place. Now we'll work on our medium pocket. Just as we did with our larger pocket, I'm going to go ahead and fold at all of the score lines. I'm going to go ahead and add liquid adhesive to our bottom tab. Now we'll take this decorative piece of paper that measures 5 7/8 by 7 7/8 and slide that into our little flaps there. I want to line that up so that there's about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. And then I will grab that and pull it down. I'll add liquid adhesive to the inside of our tabs and then adhere those in place. I'm just going to flip that up to make sure it's all right where it's supposed to be. Kind of, sort of is. I'm just trying to wiggle it a little. It looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and add liquid adhesive to the back side of the little tabs as well as the back of this decorative paper. Go ahead and put that into place and then use the bone folder to make sure it's all nice and secure. And now we'll add our small pocket. We're going to go ahead and fold at all of the score lines. Now that we have those score lines folded, we'll add adhesive to our bottom little tab here. And now we'll add our decorative piece, which is 3 7/8 by 7 7/8 inches. I have inked the edges, and we're going to follow the same process. I'm going to put this into here, try to line that up as well as possible. There should be about a 1/16 of an inch. I'll add my liquid adhesive to the inside of our little side tabs. And once I have that where I like it, I'll use my bone folder to make sure it's nice and secure. Now I have another piece of decorative cardstock. This one is 1 7/8 inches by 7 7/8 inches. We're going to adhere that right on top of our small pocket. So I'll go ahead and add my liquid adhesive and then adhere that down. And now I'm going to take this cute little decorative cut apart piece and adhere this right to the front of my pocket. So I'll add my liquid adhesive and adhere that in place. All of our pockets are completed, and now we'll set this aside while we work on our photo mats, tags, and a folio. Next, we'll work on our folio. I have a piece of cardstock here that measures 7 1/8 by 10 1/4, and this is scored at 5 1/8 on the 10 1/4 inch side. I'll fold at the score line and use my bone folder to burnish that down. And I have a piece of decorative paper that measures 7 by 5 inches. It's inked on the edges. I'm going to go ahead and add the liquid adhesive, and then we'll adhere that to the cover of our folio. And I'll use my camera stamp to indicate that a photo may go here. Now let's work on this photo mat. Our base piece for this photo mat measures 6 1/8 by 4 1/8. And our decorative piece measures 6 inches by 4 inches. We'll go ahead and adhere that right to the top. I'm adding my liquid adhesive, and then I'll adhere that down into place. All right, and now I have a fun little tag here. The tag base measures 6 5/8 by 4 1/8 inch, and the decorative piece measures 6 1/2 by 4 inches. I've gone ahead and used my corner punch with the scalloped edge to punch the corners at the top. And I've also used a corner punch with the rounded edge to punch the bottoms. And so we'll go ahead and adhere that in place. We'll go ahead and adhere our decorative piece into place. And we should have about a 1/16 of an inch around the edges. I'll use my bone folder to make sure that is on there nice and secure. I'm going to mark about 3/8 inch from the top and right in the center of the top. I'll use my crocodile to punch a hole. Now I'm going to use a metal hole enforcer. Now I'm going to add a metal hole enforcer. I'm going to use my crocodile, and I have it set to a post here and then the mound to bend the back of the hole enforcer into place. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And there we've just clamped it into place. Now I'm going to use these 3 ribbons. They are all about 5 1/2 inches long. And I've singed the ends with a candle to make sure that they do not unravel. Get these ribbons kind of together a little bit. Trying to line up these ribbons so that they are pretty much even. I'll go ahead and fold those in half. It's a little more difficult when your ribbons are different sizes. 2 of them are 3/8 inch wide and 1 is a 1/2 inch wide. Once I have those mostly straight together, I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half. And then I just kind of like to roll it up a little bit. I'm going to add a cute little charm, and I'm going to make sure that the front of the charm is facing me when I stick the ribbon through the jump ring. And then I'll add that through the hole enforcer. I will make a little loop here. trying to stick my finger through this little loop here to open that up. And then we will put the ends of the ribbon through that loop. And pull it all through. And then I just like to go through and pull on each of the ribbon to make sure that they're nice and snug in there. And there we have our cute little tag. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting!